Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Lights Camera. And let me tell you, this time you guys are in for a treat. If you listened to last week's episode, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you watched the same movie we did. To give you a little bit of context, I'm recording this about 3 months after the deed, so to speak. Usually, what I do is I re-listen to these podcasts after they're all edited and everything, and I want to use these recordings to give you a little context of what you're about to get exposed to. Yeah, this episode, in the time that it was recorded till now, it's gone on to become a legend. People are talking about it, discussing it all over the world. It's become a great source of debate. Congress is trying to pass legislation against it. Bob Dylan is even writing songs about it. They're, not very good. Now, normally, as I said, I like to give you a rundown of what you're about to expect, but in this particular situation, well, let's just be frank. Justin kind of screwed that all up for everybody. Again, I hope all of you watch this movie because I would hate for Bill and I to be the only ones who were subjected to it. So hopefully, everyone's going to be on the same page going into this episode. But yeah, this movie was Justin's pick, so let's take a moment of silence to blame Justin. That's all it's worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, lights, camera, Paws of Fury.
Now, I got to tell you here, as we get started, that my kids would not watch this movie with me. So I want to put that out there.
Good call.
It was the only cartoon that I've brought up to my kids. They're like, we watched the first few minutes. They're like, I don't know if I want to watch this. And they all walked out. All of them. All three. Not my youngest, not my middle, not my old. Nobody watched this with me. So let's dive into this here for a second with that precursor on there. And I can tell that I'm feeling, maybe an apology is warranted.
Well, however, I really honestly think that you're correct about that because I'm only just now starting to see Bill's eyes, and now he's putting glasses on, so it's gonna be hard to see his eyes. So I think an apology will get us to see Bill's eyes.
All right. And action.
Are you really a dog?
Yes, I am a dog.
Told you. I didn't know dogs could be samurai.
Well, they can, and Wait, why not?
Your sword's on backwards?
No, it's not, actually. Is it? Do you know how this is supposed to go?
So let's dive into this.
Before we get to the apology, first off, please, Justin, set our listeners up with what movie we watched this week.
Yeah.
So it was Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, and I've never seen Doug just disappear like this. So just at a high level here, it's about it's a fairly cute concept in terms of there's a dog who wants to be a samurai. He can't be a samurai because it's a world of cats. And he meets this leader named, I think, Ikachu, if I remember right. And he basically sends him to this village, which is Kakamucha or something. What is it? Kakamucho. Yeah, Kakamucho. So that a lot of poop is really what the name is.
Let's just say Kaka. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, spelled with two K's though, as opposed to C. I looked it up, and funniness ensues. It's supposedly a remake of Blazing Saddles, but
come on.
Well, that's what they said. Well, this is the part. So I was looking up some of the history of it. It originally was recorded in 2014. Did you know this?
Yeah,
I did not.
No.
Apparently, it was so bad they had to redo the entire script, re-record everything. All right. I'm not sure it resonated. They may have should have gone with the first one. I also looked at box office for this. It was total 17.8 million.
That sounds high.
Did you guys see the writing credits?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of good people that were involved in this. Yes.
Yeah, did you see the writing credits? Richard Pryor has a writing credit in it.
No,
All the writers from Blazing Saddles were credited.
that's what I was going to say. It's from Blazing Saddles. Got credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Pryor's rolling over in his grave. So
Yeah.
I will tell you there were some funny moments in here. I did think that the homage to the fart scene was fairly funny. I thought that was decent. I will tell you that I'm dying to hear your perspectives, and I'm not going to lead any of you further down this path because I want to pass it off to. I'm going to actually pass it off to Doug this time because Bill spoke last time first. Let's pass it off to Doug here because since we don't do visuals with this, he did go off camera and tilt his head and keel over laughing hysterically for a good 45 seconds, maybe I'm thinking here. So, Doug, what did you think of this movie here, my friend?
Well, before I start talking about what I thought of the movie, I want to explain my laughter. My laughter is because I really honestly thought I was going to be in the minority. But the fact that I'm just sensing the love right now cracks me up because I love it when I'm wrong. So, when you very first brought this up, that it was, kind of like a remake of Blazing Saddles, and you guys said the title, I didn't connect with this movie. I thought you guys were talking about some independent live action thing that nobody saw. That's what I honestly thought. And then when you guys brought it up last week, I went, wait a minute, they're not talking about the animated cartoon Paws of Fury. And then
that also no one saw.
What's that?
That also no one saw.
Yeah, that no one saw. And then I was just like, oh shit, we're gonna do this. Okay, crap, here we go.
He has told you his weakness. Remember, you defeat strength with smart. Now get back after him.
So I'm not going to make a big secret out of this, and I'm probably going to have a whole bunch of listeners hate on me for this, but I am not an animation guy. So getting me to watch an animated movie is a big deal. I used to love the original Pixar's. They were amazing, but once Disney took complete control of Pixar, they just completely screwed the pooch. And so most animated films I just can't get into for a wide variety of reasons. The first thing I did was I watched the trailer because I wanted to at least have some kind of an idea of what I was getting. I want to see if there was any good gut laughs in the trailer. There weren't. Does anybody agree with me that the main character is essentially a remake of Hong Kong Phooey?
Yeah, I think they actually, I think in a review that I read, I think that's exactly what they were going for. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
It's Hong Kong Phooey. Why is he called Hank? Anyway, so they could have just made a Hong Kong Phooey movie and it probably would have been fine. I honestly didn't know how I felt about the whole Blazing Saddles thing because when it was over, the first thing I said to my wife was, well, we just watched a totally politically correct remake of Blazing Saddles. If they ever did a live action version of Blazing Saddles, that's what it would be like. And it drove me absolutely crazy because one of my favorite scenes in the original Blazing Saddles is when the sheriff is riding into town. Yeah. And the Gabby Johnson guy is up in the bell tower. And he's like, the sheriff is bong. But the line of, he said the sheriff is near. But that was gone. And the best part of that scene was gone. It didn't make any sense. So it's like a lot of the jokes that they were trying to what's what I'm looking for?
Rehash.
Appropriate or whatever, rehash. A lot of them just didn't work at all. They fell flat on their face. And again, it's like, unless you've got a really good story with really good humor that not only appeals to kids, but also appeals to adults, it's just going to turn me off. And that's exactly, I barely laughed at anything. I did have one line that I didn't gut laugh at it, but I did go, and that was when Michelle Yeoh told the kids, they said, we're all going to wind up in the same place in a cardboard box behind the garage. That was a good line.
Well, I think we all can attest that this movie ended up in a cardboard box behind
Pretty much. Thank you, Justin.
That was a great segue. I appreciate that, Doug. Now, Bill, what are your thoughts?
They're modest, of course, as usual. Listen, I'm with Doug on that. I was extremely nervous about coming into this because, in general, we're not here to bash movies, and so I really was. I was struggling for like, what am I going to say about this movie because it's disappointing and horrible on every single level for me. So, first of all, the amount of talent involved in this movie that is unused and poorly used is sickening, right? The voice talent is some of the best folks in the industry. Like you've just got the biggest names. Even there's Ricky Gervais and there's Sam Jackson and there's all these other people but even like Jaimin Hunsu, my God, like these are great actors, like who you'd be thrilled to work with any one of these folks on any project. And they were all used for this piece of crap. The idea that Mel Brooks was involved in it made it just so much worse for me because it's almost like when the Miami Vice movie came out and I'm like, oh wow, he forgot how to make his own show. It's for no one. So they felt that they needed to make an animated movie safe because kids are going to go see this thing, right? But there's no kid on the planet right now that has any frame of reference with what Blazing Saddles is. So no, there's no kid who gives a shit about making a Blazing Saddles remake. That doesn't mean anything to kids. So either make an adult animated movie and just say, hey, kids shouldn't go to this.
There you go. I would
just make it. Or better yet, how about just do a sequel to Blazing Saddles? And everybody's going to be mad at you because it wasn't as good as the original, but just dig up every cast member that's still alive or could possibly be part of this, cast some new great folks in it, and make a Blazing Saddles sequel.
These are people of the land, the common clay of the New West. Morons.
The other thing that I will say made no sense to me whatsoever on two levels. Why this is set in Japan at a dojo. This could have been in space. This could have been in New York in Brooklyn. Like this, there's no reason we needed to be in Japan other than like somebody said, oh, you know what they do? They do fighting. So there'll be swords. It'll be really cool. And then they have to dance around like trying to kill people, but not really killing them. So everybody's okay, but they're not okay kind of thing. Like it's this weird, like you're never seeing anybody, like there's no violence to the level of like, oh, I'm seeing people's heads get sliced off and stuff like that. So you're missing all the good violence of a good Shogun movie or whatever anyway. And then on top of that, so let's just say let's say there was a reason to be in Japan, which there was no reason. Like this did not need to be there at all. And then, I'm not trying to be like Mr. Cultural Sensitivity of the day, but save what's his name from Star Trek. There's pretty much no Japanese actors in this thing. Like, why did you cast an all white cast for a movie that takes place in Japan? Like, why did you not even try and cast more Japanese actors? Like, it just failed me on every level. Like, I was like, what are you doing here? And yes, the jokes are flat because they're meant for a higher, like they're just meant for a different audience. So the people who love Blazing Saddles are not going to like this movie. Kids who like animation and like the there's nothing to grab onto here. You're not going to want to buy the doll or like go this 100 times. There's no catchy tune. There's no great catchphrase out of this thing that the kid's going to be like repeating a million times. There's no repeat watchability factor to this thing for kids, if there's even a one watchability factor. So it's a movie for no one, like literally.
What's that?
The blindfold is to help you focus.
Ah.
Now listen. Tell me what you hear.
I hear you talking and moving.
Good.
I hear a bird.
That's it.
I smell flowers, actually.
Dogs have a keen sense of smell and excellent hearing.
I hear a dragonfly. I smell wood burning. I smell tea brewing. Hey, are you making nachos? Because someone just cut the cheese.
I think I can answer your question about the setting in Japan.
Sure.
I think it was a business decision.
Oh yeah, That's quick.
Because I was noticing in the credits there was a thing about worldwide sales for selling the movie, all over. And so, and then of course with the voice actors, you just bring in voice actors from other countries to like Japanese voice actors or Chinese voice actors or whatever to voice for other countries.
They were
So that
hoping
might
to
have
get
been
the foreign market money.
What's that?
They were hoping to get foreign market money out of
And
it.
I'm almost positive, yeah, that's where that came from. And by the way, on your comment about the violence, it was really funny. There was that one scene where Hank went up against Hank and the girl character went up against these people with all these swords, and they basically defeated all of them without a single drop of blood being shed. And I turned to my wife and I said, "That's really cool. They use those swords to knock everybody unconscious."
Yeah. Yeah, the knockout sword.
They could have used nunchucks. And of course, the one nunchuck scene, they did the stereotypical hit himself in the head and he falls over. It's like, okay, that joke's been done 20,000 times.
Well, I mean, they could have at least hit himself in the nuts. That would have been at least higher brow. Yes.
So now we go back to Justin to tell us why he inflicted this on us.
Yeah.
I will admit it is always fun to go down a new road and try something new. And I knew that we hadn't done it. We hadn't really talked animation yet. So I thought that'd be fun. It was the concept sounded very interesting to me and the cast looked great. And I was like, we haven't all seen it. Let's dive into this. And I'll tell you, I mean, 5 minutes in, to Bill's point earlier, when your kids don't stay with you to watch this, that tells you a lot. And my kids love animation. They love cartoons. They love all that stuff. And they wouldn't even stay for this. So I started looking around going, well, shit, should I actually watch this or should I just tell the guys like it wasn't good? And so I did watch it. And I will tell you that I'm the type of person that watches movies and I just want to enjoy the entire experience, right? However, this time I was like, you know what? I'm thirsty. Let me pause this. So I went and got something to drink. I watched a little bit more and I'm like, well, shit, I got a call. Let me make a call. It probably took me 4 hours to watch this. And I will tell you, one of the greatest lines in this for me was they kept alluding towards the end. This is an 85-minute movie without credits. And I will tell you, it's 85 minutes too long. So I kept looking at the clock going, how many more minutes do we have? How many more minutes do we have? And
according to Amazon, it's an hour and 40.
Well, but it's without credits, though, is what they were saying. So it's 85 minutes.
Credits aren't going to be 15 minutes long.
I literally, when it ended, I just hit end.
Yeah, couldn't wait to hit stop.
Yeah.
I watched half one day and half the next day. I couldn't even do the whole thing in one sitting.
See, now I don't feel so bad because I did it all in one sitting. So I was just like, boom, done.
You're a soldier.
Yeah, I did it last night.
You might.
And I will say, I'm more of a live action guy, but I don't want to throw animation off our list forever because, I think there are some fun animated movies, and it is one of the cool things about animation that I think in general is, I mean, I'm always excited by new technology when it comes to live action and how many things are possible, right? And in animation, I just love that like all the guardrails are off, right? I mean, we can be in space and then we can be in Hawaii, one scene after the other. Like there's no, that's just, we're going to draw this or we're going to draw that, right? Or we're going to animate this or that. It's so freeing in those terms. And people die and come back to life. And it's just like a lot of the rules just get pushed aside, and that's kind of fun sometimes.
See, actually, you're bringing up a really good point because that's actually where the beginning of my problems with animation began. This is going to be a total sidetrack, and I apologize, but I'm bringing it up. The original Lion King, and I've been saying this now for almost 30 years. In the opening song sequence, when they're doing Hakuna,
Circle of Life.
The two characters, Pumbaa and the other guy, was it Timu or whatever his name?
Timon,
whatever. Bottom line, in that sequence, they get trampled by other animals. And then what happens later? The father dies by being trampled. It's like the rules have to apply in some way.
Well, tramplings are pretty random. I mean, not everybody dies of a trampling.
It's like we get trampled for comedic purposes, and now we get trampled for dramatic reasons. It's like it doesn't work.
That's
And
your only problem with that movie?
I was gonna say.
I've never been a fan of the original Lion King. I've never been a fan of it. I will say that the recent remake was much better. I really liked the recent remake that Favreau did.
I only like the on ice version. That's
The which one?
Lion
The
King.
on ice version.
Yeah, that's. I'm a purist.
Oh wow.
I
that was kind of where my whole thing with the animation started, was with that. So
see, I've always loved animation. Like when I was a kid, I've always loved animation. Like I just thought it was fun, right? And I love the idea of it all just together. And I will tell you that now I can't watch The Lion King anymore without noticing that scene. So thank you, Doug.
I will tell you, I will, going back to Paws of Fury, I will tell you, there is one thing they could have done in that movie that, if it was longer, I would have liked. And that was during I know the look, because I said the same thing to my wife. It was the training sequence. He went through every single one of those failures in the training sequence so fast. It was like, bam, 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 bam. I would have actually loved for them to be like all the failures Wile E. Coyote has going after the Roadrunner, all the setups and all the I would have enjoyed seeing that. But instead,
and they missed that opportunity.
They gave you nothing.
Well, if you guys remember that scene when he's going to chase after and go to the castle at the end there, and those bamboo sticks are there.
Yeah.
Never once do we see him able to cross it. And all of a sudden he just goes whoosh, whoosh, whoosh across. And you're like, what?
I think that's just supposed to be a comment on his confidence.
Yeah, I would agree with you that section could have probably been longer. But the flip side that is, thank you for not making the movie any longer than it needed to be. I think everyone was watching the 85 minutes going, really, it's only 10 minutes so far.
One of the things that got to me during this that I found kind of obnoxious is, I think Ricky Gervais is hilarious. Okay. But you could tell he was like muffled in this because it's not an R movie. You can tell he was like not able to be the Ricky Gervais that he could be. And so it felt flat all the time. Not only the jokes, but just it was monotone through it all. There was very little emotion. Like when he's talking about his guard, there was a lot of actually funny lines if you paid attention, but they fell flat because the delivery was so bad.
The only thing left to solve is our little problem.
Kakamuchu?
Precisely. What do you do when you're a landlord and you have tenants you really hate? You evict them.
But the town's been there for thousands of years.
I give you an order and you give me facts. Really? The only fact I'm interested in is that hairball of a town is ruining my magnificent view.
We had an entire movie with Sam Jackson who never got to say the F word. I mean, like, what are we doing?
Well, and he tries to, if you notice, like he's like mother, and he
mother, father.
Yeah, he switches to something like that. You're like, come on, how do you not? That is the what is it? Snakes in a Plane. Is that where it started?
Yeah.
But
I mean, with Sam Jackson, it's the same thing with Ricky Gervais. It's like he's just every single line that he had. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he like over enunciating every single line?
Well, he doesn't speak English very well, so I'm not going to fault him for that.
I would have liked it if he would have spoken his normal cadence. I would have liked it.
maybe they should have gone the extra level and just like, since it didn't need to be in Japan, like maybe they should have said it in Bible camp or something, and then it would have made more sense, because then it would have been like, why isn't anybody swearing and why isn't anybody dying? Oh, right, because we're in Bible camp.
We're in Bible camp.
There is no movie that could sell more and attract kids more than, hey guys, let's talk about Bible camp.
Well, I mean, could it do worse than this one box office wise? I don't know. At least they would have had the Christian community. They would have sold it all to them.
Actually, if you do the Bible camp thing, but then add in the swearing and the sex and the violence, then we win.
I will tell you that when I originally picked this movie, because now that we've reviewed it, everything else, I'll tell you kind of where my head was at. So one of my favorite movies that's animated, I love Sausage Party. I thought that was brilliant. Okay.
Of course you do.
I loved it. It was just the stupidest, raunchiest. You've never seen it? Sausage Party? That movie is so well done, and it's an R-rated cartoon that is So unbelievably funny from beginning to end. And the whole idea is there's a sausage trying to get inside a bun. That's the whole premise of it all. And the best part is you've got to check it out because the ending, and it's got, it's Seth Rogen and everyone's in it, that whole crew. But the point of it is, I thought it was going to be kind of like that, where it's kind of this movie that it's going to be great. It's underrated, underappreciated. But then I looked at it, and if you look them up on Rotten Tomatoes, Sausage Party has, I think, a 90 rating. This has a 57 and the audience score of 67. So I should have looked at that first.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually.
So as long as we're on animation, just give me like one or two of your favorite. Doesn't mean you don't have to pick your all-time favorite. Just one or two of your favorite animated movies.
You want to go first, Doug, or me?
You go first.
All right. So I will tell you, Sausage Party is one of them. I freaking love that.
Sure.
And let me see here. What's another good one? I love Toy Story. The second one, I think that is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to take this away from you, Doug, but Care Bears, right? No, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I just didn't.
All my favorites. You named every single one of them.
Actually, no. I would. In all seriousness, I would say. Actually, I love Pinocchio as well. Those are on my top list. There, I love those.
Yeah, Doug, what do you got?
So, I'm really struggling on this one. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen Toy Story 4, so I can't say Toy Story 4, but the first 3 Toy Story movies, without a doubt, including just about all of the original Pixar films. I wasn't really a fan of Finding Nemo, but you could go all the way through probably, I think, Up. Either which one came last, Up or Ratatouille?
I think Ratatouille was more recent than
one
Up.
of those two. Yeah, one of those two, all the way through those, every single one of those Pixar films. Yeah, I would say Finding Nemo and The Incredibles were probably the ones that I had exceptions on, but just about, I mean, man, Ratatouille and Up were amazing. Especially Up. It was probably their most mature film that they'd ever done. It might have been lost on kids, I don't know, but I know I really connected with it. But yeah, the original Pixar stuff really, really worked. I actually liked DreamWorks's Ants.
Oh, I forgot Shrek. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shrek has a lot of great things going in it. If it just wasn't Mike Myers, I just did not like Mike Myers. And you all know, I'm sure you guys all know.
So is next week's movie So I Married an Axe Murderer,
right?
What's that?
I'm sure you guys all know that Shrek was originally developed for Chris Farley, right?
I don't.
No.
Yeah. That was supposed to be Chris Farley. He died. Mike Myers came in as a tribute to Chris Farley and completely botched it. In my opinion.
That's an interesting tribute.
Yeah. All right, Bill. Where do you stand on this, my friend? What's yours?
You know, I'm totally with you guys where you're at in terms of Toy Story, amazing, Up, all that kind of stuff. I really do like those movies a lot. And this is, again, I'm way more a live action guy than animation to start with. But I do think those movies are amazing. I'll just throw a couple at you that were part of I guess just a nostalgic time because I was closer to that industry, I guess, at that time. So they maybe hold a special place for me. And then I also just want to throw out, there's a couple Pixar shorts that I really like on their animated shorts.
Those are good.
Probably my favorite is one called Lifted. And it's the alien abduction one.
Oh God, that's funny.
And it's so fun to me just because it's like we all know about alien abductions and we all know that kind of scenario, right? We just didn't realize there was like driver's ed training for alien abductions. And it's so fun and it's just so well executed and just so amazing. Not a word in it, it's so wonderful. So I think that was cool. And then, I think only because I went to the premiere for both of these movies, I'm just gonna throw them out. They're like the best animated movies in the world, but going to an animated premiere changes your entire perspective on the movie because animated premieres are the most fun thing you could be at. Mulan, which I actually thought was a pretty great movie.
That's a great one.
Premiere for that was at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was just so epic.
You're talking the original back in the 90s, right?
Yeah, with Eddie Murphy.
Late 90s. It was like around.
And,
Yeah, it was,
and I should mention that is also one of my favorite animated films too.
yeah.
That is
I
a
mean,
good one.
it's and especially some of the. I think the artistry was really getting to me on that one. There's a scene where it's like a snowy mountain or something. I'm like racing down the mountain, and I'm seeing it at the Hollywood Bowl on a huge the screen. They put up a screen that was the size of the Hollywood Bowl, right? I mean, it came out of the floor, went up to the top, and then curtains split across it, made the entire size of the bowl. But watching like white snow animated on a screen that size, and you're like, that is a ridiculously amazing artistic skill level that I just really have to like wow. So I thought that was cool. And then I went to the one for Tarzan as well, back in that same era, sort of within the probably early 2000s or something.
That's another one I like too.
And that one was fun just because as soon as the movie ended, Phil Collins came out and sang all the songs from the movie, and then did
wow.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
At the El Cap Theater. And so it's like, it's a movie theater just the size of a movie theater, and you got a Phil Collins concert going on in there. And he's running up and down the aisle singing Sue Studio and like handing the mic to people. It was just like, it's as fun as it gets,
I actually saw Tarzan at the El Cap too, but not the premiere.
Real quick, just for our audience that don't know, it's the El Capitan, which is the Disney's theater in Hollywood, right across from Hollywood and Highland. So yes, just for all you gamers out there.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. Like there's some fun stories. I did not. I liked The Incredibles, at least the first one.
I did too.
And it was a different style. Doug's looking like no. But I thought it was fun, and it's a, I kind of like the superhero world a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So it was like I always like anything that's like a twist on, that world. So that was kind of fun. The star for that one is Edna Mode for me, for sure.
Oh God, who I found out is not actually a woman.
Yeah, who does that one?
I think it's Ed Catmull, right?
Yeah, is it Ed Catmull? I mean, I knew that for sure because I had to. Yeah. Anyway, I have a story on that one, but yeah, that I probably can't tell. It starts to drift into areas that I can't share information.
Fair enough.
Although I can tell you something about the Tarzan one if you want.
Please, let's go there for a second.
Yeah. Of course I go to the thing and there's a bunch of Disney execs there at the premiere. And afterwards, there's a Disney store right next to the theater, that's selling merch and stuff. And so everybody kind of like funnels in there. And if you work for the company, you get like a discount anyway, it's like paycheck recycling. So anyway, they go in there and they're just like, everybody's wandering around, like as if we don't know what they sell, right? So it's at that point that they kind of realize there's this Tarzan doll that when you press the button on his back, he does the like this, he beats his chest with his hands, right? And it's got like the try me thing.
Yeah.
Like, try me, see what it's like. I think for packaging purposes or economy of boxing or what have you, they've kind of like they don't have his arms like stretched out across his chest because you need a wider box. So they have his arms kind of like down by his side.
Oh God.
And they didn't strap in one of the arms.
Oh God.
So,
and
he's got the vine grip hand. And so it's just, and this is a bunch of executives like from consumer products at Disney, like holding up this doll going, oh my God, check it out. And they're like buying them up as fast as they can to get them on a shelf at their office because they know this is going to get taken off the market in like a minute. But it became like a point of like everybody wanted one of those in their office. And they shut it down like the next day. It was like gone.
Wow.
Has anyone seen a monkey masturbate? Here you go. Yes.
Yeah, it was jerk off Tarzan. Like it was just like right there.
Work. Let's see. What's on the agenda today? Cat fights on the Western Front? Cat scratch fever breaking out in the East? What's this? Our sacred soil has been soiled by a dog who crossed the border? Probably a border collie.
Where do you guys stand on stop motion?
I don't see a lot of stop motion. Like I think probably the most recent one I've seen is Nightmare Before Christmas or Caroline or one of those. And I have to say that's pretty bad at. Like, I mean, just watching them even make that stuff, that blows me away. So I think it's a really cool genre that I wish they did more with. because I think it's a really cool medium. I just can't imagine. It's such a labor of love. I don't know how it's economical.
Yeah.
I was always, I don't know what it was when I was a kid, but I was always put off by a lot of the stop motion animation things that they made for kids for like TV and stuff like that.
Like Rudolph and
what's that?
Like Frosty and Rudolph and all that.
What are you, a communist?
Are you? I like those. I like those things, but I mean, there was always something that just didn't really sit well with me. Especially, I mean, I'm talking like this shows like Davy and Goliath and stuff like Gumby and Pokey and all that. But you put that up on a big screen and it's even more jarring. So like I like Nightmare Before Christmas because of the story, because of all the things that go into it, et cetera, et cetera. But I would have preferred it to have been a digitally animated film as opposed to a stop motion. Do I have respect for stop motion? Of course I do. It's so freaking, tedious and really hard to do. So of course I've got a lot of respect for it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it does have this it's that weird bridge between live action and animation where I feel like it's got I don't know, maybe maybe it helps you invest more in the characters, or maybe it feels like it's happening in the real world a little bit more. There's something about it that seems more fragile, and more accessible or something. It is, I mean, the labor side. I mean, I probably said one of the dumbest things possible. I met with the Kyoto brothers one time who did, tons of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but they did a lot of that, Rudolph and all that stuff. Like back in the day, they did all that. And I was like, they're showing me how this is done. And I was just like, I said, forgive me for asking this. Isn't this a tremendous pain in the ass?
Yeah.
Like their entire life's work. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? And they were like, yeah, it is. And then they were like, but so much better now that we have digital cameras. I was like, like my heart went out of my chest. I was like, what? Because that's insane. And then I just went to last year I went to the screening for the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio movie.
Yeah.
And like he was there, did a Q&A that James Cameron hosted. But it was they're talking about it, and he had his like co-director on there who was, I don't know whether he's like the animation director and Guillermo's the other director. I don't know how that works, but they were like, so James was like, so when did you start on this thing, to the other director guy? And he said, it's like, I've been on it for 12 years. I'm like, what? This is one movie. Like, what are you talking about? I was like,
12 years?
What does that deal even look like, right? I don't know, how much do you make a year? So we'd like to hire you until this is done. I mean, I don't know, was that just some big or Brinks truck drops up, backs up to your house? I mean, what that deal looks like. That's a giant chunk of your life, like, to go make this movie. I was just like, what are you doing? I was like,
that's a labor of love.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into it, you're into it. My friends at Starburns made the Anomalisa.
Okay, I've seen that. Well, if you think about it, though, like they started this movie 2014, so this was 9 years of labor of love. That's only 12, and those are memorable. This was memorable.
Yeah, this is true. Like they say like the average time frame, like average is like around 10 years from like conception to delivery. I don't think it always has to be that hard because we've seen some Hallmark Christmas movies. we know what's going on, but they're pulling the average down.
They're not helping.
Yeah.
They're not helping. They're not building the case.
Speaking of Hallmark Christmas movies, Doug, what are you teeing up for us next week? What are we going to? I assume it's a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, we're up to this now. Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Real quick, did we have a favorite scene from Paws of Fury?
The ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I just wanted to make sure.
Do you have a favorite character? Maybe
favorite character. I mean, God, I really wanted to say Sumo, but it was such a bad reinterpretation of Mongo that I couldn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not really likable either. Anyways, he's just he digs a trend.
And I missed the line. Mongo like candy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go with Jimbo, Sam Jackson's character, just because he at least gets drunk.
Pick us up here. What do we
right.
Say you've got a good pick for next week, and it's something that you have seen.
Okay, so it is something I have seen.
Okay.
multiple times. The movie that I am about to name, I don't know if you two have seen it. So this is a movie that is now about 33 years old, approximately, maybe 32. It is widely reviled. Most people on the planet hate it.
Wow, great setup.
But I am
Yeah.
a huge fan of it.
Are we going from 0 to 0 again? We got to.
Yeah, we just suffered through Paws of Fury. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know, but hold on. But one
Is this the
person
week
on
we
this
watched
panel
Annie or
really,
something?
really, really loves this movie. See, that's the thing is with Justin, I honestly thought that how this was going to go was Justin. I know Justin really likes animated films. Plus, he likes to watch movies with his kids. So I figured that I actually thought I was going to be in the minority, but then when I saw Bill's reaction, I was like, okay, it looks like Bill and I are going to gang up on Justin. But then Justin joined in and was like, okay, he hated it too. So you at least have one person on this panel who absolutely loves this movie. And so the bottom line is when we talk next week, even if you guys hate it, we can at least discuss why. And maybe you guys can point out to me why people hate this film, because I've never understood why people hate this film. Is that fair?
Okay, I'm nervous.
So it is 33 years old. It was directed by Brian De Palma. It stars Tom Hanks. Yes, it is The Bonfire of the Vanities.
I have never seen it.
Cool. Have you ever read the book?
No. It's
Bill?
actually on my list of movies I need to see. So, okay.
Bill? Did he freeze?
Definitely haven't read the book. May have seen the movie, and if I did, it's been
okay.
30
The majority
years.
of the people who hate this movie read the book. They all come back and say it's a terrible movie. The book was so much better. And I'm one of those people who can usually I can differentiate between a book and a movie because I know that they can't be exactly the same. But I went and saw this movie completely fresh, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And then and of course, it was a huge box office bomb. It just did horribly. And then I dragged a friend of mine to it who loved the book. And he came out of it saying that was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And to this day, I still cannot figure out why people hate this movie.
Well, allow us to tell you.
Yeah,
sure. I would love for people to tell me why. It is also one of the most troubled productions in Hollywood history. It ranks up there with Apocalypse Now.
Was it really a bomb though? Like I mean I sort of remember this coming out. And I thought it was, but maybe there just weren't as many movies coming out then.
No, it was a horrible bomb. As a matter of fact, it was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly as being like it was the cover for the holiday movie preview. And I think it was even on the cover of Premiere Magazine, their December issue. It was supposed to be the biggest movie of the holiday season of 1990, and it just completely tanked.
Wow.
Yeah, it was made in that little stretch of films that Tom Hanks made, like Joe versus the Volcano and stuff like that.
God. I'm just going to tell you now, Bill, we are screwed. Paws of Fury had a rating of 5.7 on IMDb. This has a rating of 5.6 on IMDb.
All right. Well, it's in the neighborhood. I mean,
yeah. But again,
it's
like
even
I
worse.
said,
IMDb didn't even exist when this came out.
The whole thing that I get from people on this one is that if you read the book, you're gonna hate it. So it kind of boils down to I've never read the book, so I think it's brilliant. And I mean, I know a lot of the production. I read the book. There was a book written about the production. I've read the book, and I read that book looking for why this movie was so bad.
Gentlemen, to put it in perspective, just give you one more reference point here. Paws of Fury got a 57 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 67 or 69 on Rotten Tomatoes. Bonfire of the Vanities, it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. So F you, Doug. Tomato meter is 15%. Audience score 26.
Oof!
I told you it's widely panned.
Wow!
And
you like it,
but it's for me. It was one of the funniest movies of that year.
Was it a comedy?
It's supposed to be a comedy / drama.
It has a huge cast. Oh my god!
Yeah, the cast is insane. The cast is absolutely insane.
I think that after this, We can't do two suck fest back to back. All right. We need to pick a crowd pleaser after this.
Yeah, I mean it's always
Now wait a minute, hold on.
I'm teasing, Doug.
I'm hoping that you guys are going to see. I do have to say I'm a little disappointed that you brought up the numbers, Justin.
Well, because it was just because I would have never looked until you said everybody hates it. It was horrible, and I'm like, well, how bad could it be? And it's bad.
I would like to. What I'm hoping is that you okay. You and I had this conversation a week ago about the movie Waterworld.
Yes,
I said that I think that everybody in the world hated Waterworld because they heard so much bad stuff about the production before it actually opened. And then when they went in, they went, yeah, that was a bad movie because they were told it was a bad movie. I love Waterworld. I think it's fantastic, but I ignored all the bad press about it. I just watched it based on its merits. It's funny. It's got a lot of action. I actually like characters that are unlikable, which, by the way, Bonfire of the Vanities has a lot of them. So you don't have to have a completely likable character all the time. And I do think that is one of the criticisms of Bonfire of the Vanities is that it's hard to find a character who you genuinely like. I mean, Tom Hanks's character goes through an arc, but it takes him a while to get there. But that's the thing is that sometimes I think that people hear the press about a movie and then they go in and go, yeah, this does suck. And I think that sometimes people just have to go walk in and just go, okay, what am I about to see? And then base it on its own merits. Because I don't know. And I'm hoping that next week we'll come back and you guys will be like, yeah, I don't know what everybody's problem is. Or better, if you do hate it, you can tell me why and it makes sense. Because no one's been able to tell me why they hated it.
I'm down for all that. And I do hear you on the disconnect between books and films, because I think it is true. Like, I mean, I have examples too of like a book that I love that hasn't been made into a movie, but I think it's either been shot or they're talking about shooting it or it's going to be released or whatever. But Devil in the White City, which they're
working on it.
Yeah, they've been working on it for a while, and I thought they were shooting it or something. But that's an amazing book, one of my favorites. Absolutely love the book, and I have no idea how they're going to turn that into a movie without just slashing and killing off just great chunks of book. And I think part of the joy of that book, for me at least, is the writing itself is so beautifully done that you're either going to throw a shitty narrator into the movie or something, or you're just going to lose the voice of the writer altogether.
Yeah.
And either of those sounds like a bad idea to me, but who knows? But this will be a controversial one. So the first Jack Reacher movie with Tom Cruise in it, I had read none of the Jack Reacher books, and I liked that movie. Like, I thought it was a really good action movie. I thought he did a good job in it. I thought it was fun. It was a great story. But I never read a Jack Reacher book. Now I've read almost the entire series of Jack Reacher books. He's 100% the wrong person to play that character. And it's not in alignment with who that character is. I don't like the Jack Reacher on Amazon that guy looks like what the guy in the book does, but he has no presence on camera at all. He's just like a big hunk of meat, in the best sense of the word. But
obviously,
yeah, I mean, it is tough. It's tough. Books made into films, obviously they're a great source of, IP, if you will. But Grisham, I'm sure that there's plenty of people like the Grisham books and don't like some of those movies,
Yeah, that's me. Because I've read all of his books, and maybe that's a genre we should actually cover. We should do a month of that, where we pick a book that was translated into a movie and see what we think about it. I like that.
I was going to mention the Firm. John Grisham's The Firm is a prime example, because Grisham said flat out that everyone in the world had read the book, so they all knew how it ended. So they had to change they not only changed it from the midpoint on, but they completely redid the last act, because everyone already knew from the book. So they made it different on purpose, so people would be sitting there in the theater going, oh, cool, something new.
They hated it, though. That was
I liked it.
Here's the most self-serving, funny segue in the world. But I am literally, as soon as we got off this podcast or whatever, I am about to go visit my very close friend who was in the movie The Firm.
Oh.
Who's that?
Karina Lombard,
Okay.
and she seduces Tom Cruise like on the beach.
Yeah.
In that scene.
I remember who she is.
She's a very, very good friend of mine and just a wonderful person. Yeah, I'm actually headed over to her place right after this.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, we can't top that. Shit.
That's a small world.
I'm going to go in and make chicken nuggets for the kids tonight. So that's my night. Crazy.
Hashtag jelly.
Hashtag shut the hell up.
I do. I like chicken nuggets. Do we got ranch?
We don't have any ranch in this house, actually. We're a ketchup family.
Why is there no ranch?
I'm not a big ranch person. My kids don't really eat it. Kelly does because she grew up in South Carolina. But
live in Texas, and you're not a big ranch person.
Oh, I'm an anomaly upon an anomaly. I am the enigma here that just won't go away. Yes.
I'm going to gift you like a ranch pack or something and send it to your kids. I feel so bad. Is that child abuse? I mean, in Texas it probably is.
You gonna call CPS on that one? You got to be like,
absolutely. They have no ranch in the house. Get somebody over there.
They're like, shit, we're there tomorrow. Yes.
Like firemen show up with a ranch hose and just start firing it in through the window.
If it makes you feel any better, my wife puts ketchup on her chicken nuggets too. So
she's a good girl, very intelligent.
We call that Chicago.
I'm more of a hot mustard kind of guy, but.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you bearing with me for that movie. I am going to say it one more time. I apologize to each of you, and going forward, I will make sure that I better vet my choices for at least the next two movies. At least something that I enjoyed. If you guys don't like them, that's okay. But when you pick a movie and you don't like it, it sucks even more.
And Paws of Fury will be renamed now as PAUSE.
Or Don't Start. Yes.
Don't start.
Just stop. This movie's been changed to stop. All right, guys, listen, enjoy. I hope you don't pause this episode, and we'll see you next time.
And cut, Brent. We're moving on. That was perfect.
Please follow our YouTube channel and check back for future episodes. If you'd like to suggest a movie for us to assign to each other, please send them to us in the comments. This podcast is a production of Two Dips and a Dad Productions. Production and post-production support is by Sean Robinson of Parker Ken Entertainment. Thank you for joining us.